30.5 points ahead of the top-scoring West Countryman, Mike James. So we have a lot of the men from the southwest on, obviously, on our stock car coverage. Today, though, we have the northeast and the Scots here at Aycliffe, real England-Scotland battle, and we have the Skull Bandits, of course, in attendance, up from Hartlepool. 644, Paul Broach, top man of the three. 844, Dennis Whitfield from Darlington, raced under 939 last year. With all the Skull Bandits now picking numbers that finish in 4-4, and that's the root of it all. Russell Taylor keeping his old number 744. Broach and Whitfield, though, converting their numbers to similar numbers, 744 and 644 and 844. At a long distance, and it can be confusing. Green flags down and the Formula 2s are away. 16 laps of this Aycliffe circuit, 3 straight-through races. And there we see the blues coming through and down to the reds. There's Paul Broach from Leeming Bar, known locally, I'm told, as the Leeming Looney. Anyway, plenty of action from the small cars here in their first race. It's 871 out in front, Ray Armstrong from the Stockton. Plenty of whites here in the Formula 2 class. They had 52 cars from Formula 2s at Hartlepool recently, and half of them whites. Very encouraging indeed. 729, 725 in view there. Dave Mason from Stockton, and then going wide in the 729 car. There is Ray Armstrong, good race in second place. 292's piled up on the outside of the track. 292 there. He's one of the new drivers registered this year. There's Jimmy Moody, looking to put the bumper in now on 501 Bill Trout from Ossett in Yorkshire. Errol Johnston not too far behind. 753, Andy Morris from Doncaster, just putting the bumper in himself on car number 33, and that's Keith Stanford from Scotland. We've got 4 out of the 6 superstars here today. There's 4 Scots out of 6. Jimmy Moody just passed 501 Bill Trout, and the 4 superstars, Jimmy Moody, number 733, Keith Stanford, 673, Errol Johnston, and programmed is number 16, Jim Wallace, who we caught up with at Skegness not so long ago. Car number 70, blue top driver. And that's Jake Looney of Scotland. 292, having problems with his front wheel, the steering gone on that car as he pulls up by the fence. In the meantime, the race continues. 871 still out in front, although the challenge is coming. Armstrong having his work cut out. There is Dennis Whitfield, 844, closing on the 854 yellow top. Dave Chance from Heaven, one of the white tops spinning out, and there's a yellow as well, 791. 791 spinning out on the turn, and that's the car of Neil Anderson. In the meantime, there's Broach and Whitfield. Now, the setting for this is, obviously, there was Saturday night racing Newton Grange. That happens every week, by the way, at the Eastern Scotland Stadium, which is where these Scottish Formula 2 drivers really tally up the points with a weekly meeting. Now, the Skull Bandits went up there last night, and a little bit of team racing happened. Indeed, one of them was away down the field, took out the race leader, giving, I think it was Russell Taylor, the win. So, Skull Bandits weren't too popular in Scotland with some team driving, so could there be some repercussions from the Scots here today at Aycliffe? Broach going through the field. Whitfield not too far behind. There is Russell Taylor, 744. So there we see them once more. Russell Taylor still with a fair bit of traffic to come through. Collier putting the front wheel on the inside of the track. 3 abreast, they're coming out the turn. In the meantime, blue 18, Trevor Jones from Whitley showing up well. And Trevor Jones, who leads this Formula 2 race. Plenty of cars already pulling out onto the infield. We had 22 programmed starters for this one, if my additions being right. Keith Stanford going slow there and letting some cars through. Andy Morris at the low slung 753 car coming through well. 567 just behind him. And now here's the race for first place. Paul Broach going to look for the gap on the inside of Trevor Jones. In the meantime, it's Andy Morris indeed one of the back markers being lapped now by Trevor Jones in number 18, and there goes the push. Broach looking for the gap, but number 18, Jones is holding on well here. Jones looking at the inside line, it's a bit greasy. He's got Bill Trout in view now. And Trout being lapped, and indeed Jones could get himself into trouble when he tries to nudge his way past. It's the closing stages of this race now. Broach coming through. Trout being left down. A spin out there for Paul Phillips. And number 718. Well, Broach has made it now, spinning out 3-5-4, and up goes number 18, Trevor Jones, right over the top. Looked like he was aided there by Bill Trout, right over the top of the 8-5-4 car, Dave Chance. And Paul Broach taken out of the race as well. Well, now you see those still pictures you may have seen in the various stock car magazines coming to life there as number 18 took flight, Trevor Jones. Well, that's taken Broach out of the race. Looking now for first place in this Formula 2 heat. Paul Phillips trying to get back in the race. Tangled up there with 718. Athol Thompson from Ferry Hill. And I think the box themselves are having to just decide who is indeed first. And close consultation of the lap charts going on. The yellows are out here in the first Formula 2 race of the day. And there's the driver. It looks like Paul Phillips, I think, that's got out. Or indeed it's one of the other drivers. So the search goes on now for the official first place. And indeed, yes, looking across now, that must have been Paul Broach out on the grass. 4 on the back, 6-4-4 of course. The yellows are being withdrawn. And it's confirmed as Russell Taylor in 7-4-4 who's in the first place. There we have him in view. Russell, brother of Gerald and Warren Taylor. In the meantime, Broach, his Skull Bandits teammate, is sitting on the grass, a spectator now. Those are the first two. Russell Taylor confusing the issue slightly by still having a blue side to his spoiler, even though the red, the middle section is red as it was when he was a blue top. But the actual roof of the car now painted red. So it's McMillan second. Third is Martin Lamb in 52. And fourth is Jimmy Moody in number 7. So this should be an interesting race when it gets restarted, with 4 reds in the first 4 places. Now you've got to watch out for Moody in fourth, and indeed a couple of reds behind them. And the race back underway as the green flag drops. So now, can Russell Taylor hold on to that first place? He's broken away already from Martin Lamb. There's Trout's 501 in 6th place. And Taylor's building up speed. That is spoilers on the Skull Bandits cars, quite controversial, but the general comment seems to be they do aid with braking into the turn. There's Jimmy Moody in car number 7. Moody closing in all the time on the 3rd place car, Martin Lamb, or indeed that is second now. Martin Lamb second, Jimmy Moody 3rd. 4th place, George McMillan, number 100. 5th place, another red, I suspect that to be a Scot. 2 laps to go now, and indeed it is. It's number 16, Jim Wallace, in 5th place. So very much England versus Scotland in the closing stages of this race. Russell Taylor looks to be holding on, though. Taylor first, Lamb second, Jimmy Moody 3rd. That's the current order as we go into the final lap. There's Moody in 3rd place. He's not going to make up the distance, though. 4th is George McMillan, and 5th is Jim Wallace. So it's Scott's 3rd, 4th and 5th. But Englishman out 1st and 2nd. In for the checkered flag goes the Skull Bandits. 744 car of Russell Taylor. 2nd place going to Martin Lamb, number 52. Shaping up very well after his transfer from blue up to red. 3rd place, number 7, Jimmy Moody. 4th, 100, George McMillan. And 5th, number 16, Jim Wallace. That's the current position, awaiting obvious official confirmation from the lap scorers and the steward. The winner, though, of the race, that's quite clear, 744 Russell Taylor, but Jimmy Moody trapped in 3rd place there, couldn't quite catch the 744 car. Jimmy Moody, though, the current national points leader. The Scots certainly taking over with 4 out of the 6 superstars being Scottish drivers. The only other men to get a look in are Mike James and Ian King from the East Coast. So it looks as if this year the Scottish takeover of the Points Championship may well occur, ironically, in the season after the Formula 2 World Final was last in Scotland. The official result now after much consultation of the lap charts in the Formula 2 Heat 1. First, 744 Russell Taylor. 2nd place, number 52, Martin Lamb. 3rd, number 7, Jimmy Moody. 4th, number 16, Jim Wallace. Then in 5th place, number 18, the man that tried to take flight at one point, Trevor Jones. 6th place, 501, Bill Trout. 7th was number 725. And 7.25 was Brian Robson. 8th place was car number 70, Jake Lothian. Away. So it's Ray Armstrong from Stockton heading off first in 8.71. Is coming through, just 3 of them here. The Blues challenging as well. Skull Bandits in view as well. 5.01, Bill Trout. Just on the outside of Errol Johnson, 6.73. There he is, race leader, 8.71. Ray Armstrong. Armstrong looking pretty cool out there. There's 18, the man that nearly took off in the first Formula 2 race, Trevor Jones. Getting edged out now by Dennis Whitfield. He's getting taken on the inside as well by a red top. Paul Phillips in view there, number 34. And Dennis Whitfield snaking across the track. A couple of cars on the infield returning to racing. And then we find a few other group of cars. George McMillan looks to be in there. Andy Morris, Earl Johnson, Keith Stanford. 33 at the back of that pack. Also there is Jake Lothian, car number 70, Bill Trout, 5.01. So the Red Sox sorting themselves out. In the meantime, Paul Broach pulling the bumper in on 34. Paul Phillips just edging through on the inside, working his way through the field now is Broach. Not too far off first place now. As the yellows and whites just get nudged out of the way there are the other 2 bandits. Dennis Whitfield from Russell Taylor at the moment. And indeed, Broach is through into 2nd place. Looking good in his first race until that multiple pile-up on that turn. Paul Phillips spinning out. Almost took 18 with him, 7.25 spinning out as well, getting back pretty fast though. That's Brian Robson, I think, 7.25. See that confirmed. Paul Broach just cutting past the 8.71 leader. Paul Broach out in front now in 6.44, and problems there. Bill Trout, I think, with Andy Morris going into the fence. Trout from Yorkshire just trying to edge back out. It does look like Andy Morris, yes, from Doncaster in 7.53. He's also got himself into trouble. In the meantime, Russell Taylor goes through past the white. Being chased by one of the Scots. 7.18's just gone out, by the way, one of the whites, Sapple Thompson. That's Jim Wallace, I think, the 16, blue body car. Johnston and Stanford coming through the pack. And it's Paul Broach from Leaving Bar in first place in number 6.44. And looking now for the leader. No, there's the Scots going through again. There he is, Russell Taylor out in front here. The 2nd Formula 2 race in the Skull Bandit 6.44 car. Very, very long straights here at Clifton. It's a half break into the turn. And he's coming up to lap the Scots. This could be interesting. You of the problem sometimes between the Bandits and the Scots. Russell Taylor's pulled out onto the centre green, so he's out of things. In the meantime, 6.44. Paul Broach closing in on that pack of Scots, looking to get through and lap them. Snaking past the whites up on the inside halfway stage now. This 16-lap Formula 2 race. Broach closing in on Lothian in car number 70. Blue top driver there, you see him, he's got smoke coming from the car. Jim Wallace there in battle with 8.26, one of the whites. 8.26 Steve Park. Now Broach looking now to edge in on Lothian. Well, indeed the race is advertised at 1600, I think it's 12 somehow. I think the 4-lap mark is out now, not long after the S&P. 3-lap marker now, not long after that halfway stage flag. Paul Broach past Lothian now, looking for further passage past the back markers. Paul Broach having a few problems here at the moment, dominating the Formula 2 Heat 2. Where's Broach looking back now for a 2nd place man? It could well be that blue top. Dennis Whitfield also looking well placed in 8.44. Looks though as if the Scots are a fair way down the order this time. Stanford almost being lapped by Broach. Lothian's trying to put the bumper back in on Taylor. Well, he Lothian disappearing onto the centre green there as he tried to make contact with the local man in the 644 car. Approach down the straight heading fourth turn now. Coming off the bend. With the checker flag out, it's a win for number 644. Paul Broach in Heat 2 for the Formula 2s. So Broach making up for the disappointment of that multiple pile-up in the first race to win Heat 2 in the Formula 2s here at Aycliffe by a very commanding margin. Indeed, getting up to the point where he was almost lapping some of those superstar Scotsmen, such as Stanford and also Johnston. So good race for Paul Broach. Results now for Heat 2 Formula 2. The winner, the number 644, Paul Broach. Second was car number 16, Jim Wallace, so the Scot getting through to second. Third place was 844, Dennis Whitfield. Fourth was car number 826. And 826 looking down the list was Steve Clark. Fifth, number 18, and that was Trevor Jones. Then 673, Errol Johnston. 33, Keith Stanford in seventh place. And eighth was 871, Ray Armstrong. Formula 2 final. No qualification involved, of course, for this. It's 3 straight-through races, but on this system now, it's standard 8 down to 1 for the first 8 places. In awarding points in the heats, now what they do is they double up the points for the winner in a final in these circumstances. But after that, all the points remain the same. So the winner in this will receive 16 points, the second only 7. So a lot of, there should be a fine battle for first place. The points are different, by the way, between meetings where you have normal qualification for a final and straight-through races now. That has led us to the position now where in consolation races, drivers can score half points. In the meantime, George McMillan's already pulled out in car number 100 onto the infield. The 744, Russell Taylor in view there, the winner of the first Formula 2 race. With Paul Broach the winner in the second, it looks like a Skull Bandit festival here today. There's another one of the Skull Bandits, Paul Broach just in front. And there, as I need to tell you, is the Scots driver in the form of Keith Stanford, number 33. Stanford so far has yet to finish anything higher than 7th in the second race. Now in the intervening time, Russell Taylor, who pulled out of Heat 2, has fitted a complete new gearbox himself and his pit crew to that 744 car. Jim Wallace just behind number 16 alongside Keith Stanford. A very narrow banked 33 car. The race is underway as the flag drops. Leading off number 871, Ray Armstrong. Plenty of white sun in this one, then down to the yellows. Paul Phillips going through 854, I think was there as well, Dave Chance. It's 871 from 718 Apple Thompson. Bandits already getting stuck in the yellow top, getting caught. Dave Chance in 854. Broach and Whitfield in view there. Just behind him 18. Trevor Jones. Andy Morris going through 753. Bill Shroud 501. And now it's Jake Lothian in car 70 that's coming under pressure from the Bandits straight through past him. Number 18 and Trevor Jones not too far behind. The Red's getting held up somewhat. Keith Stanford past the white top, followed by Errol Johnston in 673 and 16 Jim Wallace. 52 Martin Lamb just in the rear of that group. See, just for your information of the current position in there, it's superstars. Jimmy Moody's top of the points list. Errol Johnston is third in 673 in the overall points. Fourth is Keith Stanford in 33, and Jim Wallace is the sixth highest scoring driver in the country. Car number 16, Jake Lothian going out, taking a trip out into the wires. And there's Errol Johnston himself, 673, I believe, a former rugby player. Before switching to Formula 2s. On there's the bumper in from Stanford on Russell Taylor, not the most popular man last night at Newton Grange. The Scots combining there. Oh, Stanford snaking all over the place, and he's taken Jim Wallace. Oh, eventually ending up on the centre grid. Anxious moments, both Wallace and Stanford taking themselves out there as they try to combine on Russell Taylor. Meantime, Taylor escapes, now challenging 118, the white top car. 118, looking down the list, is Ken McCreevy, I think it is. Oh, there's spin over. 18's gone. Well, he tried to do that earlier on when he mounted car's bonnet. This time he has gone over. Number 18, Trevor Jones, might say tried to. That was the car was. I'm certain the driver wasn't trying to. Let's hope that Trevor Jones is okay as the track, as the track crew come onto the track, sending to Jones. It looks okay, they're helping him out of the car. So more spectacular action here in the Formula 2s at Aycliffe. Jones looking all right there as he gets out of the car and past the ropes into the safety of the spectator area. So he'll be a spectator now. In the meantime, cars lining up for a restart. Martin Lamb was the car that just pulled off onto the centre green. I don't know if he's trying to get back into the red position. No, they're being held on the start-finish line there. Quite a few cars parked already on the middle. Joining them now is Bill Trout, 501. That's Jonathan Runner's car just by the pole. Number 100, sandwiched between the flagpole and the pace truck. In the meantime, Trevor Jones' car is going to be right. They've got to get that out of the way. They might well seize this opportunity to get rid of the number 70 Jake Lothian car as well. I think they're trying to work out what to do with Jones's car. In the end, a push against the lattice work chassis. Obviously don't want to inflict too much damage on the car in view of what it's already gone through. These cars don't cost nothing to build. Thousands of pounds invested in some of these Formula 2 cars. And over it goes. Lothian's car as well being pushed out of the way. Here the crash as Trevor Jones' car hit the deck, and the two Blues are being taken out of the way now, prior to the restart of the Formula 2 final. Cars moving up again now as the rolling lap recommences. 871. Out in front there, Ray Armstrong, and held on to his lead during all that mayhem behind him. Second, 718, Athol Thompson. Dennis Whitfield well placed there in 844. Jim Wallace, 616. Paul Broach, 644. The green flag being readied now by the starter here at Aycliffe. Although it looks as though they're going to have to slow up again. You can just see there 673 Errol Johnston sitting behind Dennis Whitfield. And the green flag now being readied, and it's down for the restart of the final here in the Formula 2s. And straight away Russell Taylor going through to take first. 871 just being edged out of the way. Ray Armstrong as Russell Taylor hits the front. There's the Skull Bandit rather. Struggling partner. 644 Paul Broach. Errol Johnston now going through, trying to keep the Scottish flag flying here in the final. Bandit's running up the points now in this final race for the Formula 2s here today at Aycliffe. Russell Taylor first, second Dennis Whitfield, third place is Errol Johnston, fourth place now Paul Broach. So it's Johnston standing between the Skull Bandits and the 1, 2, 3 here. 5, 6, 7 spun out along with 781, 5, 6, 7 in the blue. Stuart Easby, 781 in the yellows. Looking down the list is a new driver, not included in the registration list. Not the one I've got here anyway. Errol Johnston, 673. Flying the ointment for the Skull Bandits at the moment, preventing the whitewash. Oh, Jim Wallace is up there now on Paul Broach as Chance comes back onto the track in 854. Whitfield seems to be dropping down a little. Errol Johnston having to come through the traffic now. Jim Wallace just behind him. There's Johnston with the superstar light on the roof going past Paul Phillips, I think it was there in 34. Paul Broach coming under pressure also from Andy Morris in 753. As you might say at the moment, it's an international race, Scotland, England and Yorkshire. Andy Morris getting stuck in there. Russell Taylor down the straight, and someone there needing a map, I think, to find his way back into the race. 718 gradually works his way around the fence. In the meantime, back with the main action. Oh yes, he's found his way back in now. First place, 744 Russell Taylor. There's Paul Broach mixing it with 854. Car of Dave Chance. And Skull Bandits once more showing up well here at Aycliffe. Paul Phillips getting edged out of the way by one of the white tops there. Andy Morris going through 7.53, the red top on the inside line. There's Paul Broach. 5.92, Jerry Johnson just behind him in the yellow top car. Jerry from Stockton. Another yellow pulling off onto the infield. I think that's Phillips in 34. It's the closing stages now. Russell Taylor still out in front, 7.44. Final lap coming up. Looks like all three races here today, they're going to be taken by the Skull Bandits. Russell Taylor winning Heat 1 and on his way to a victory in the final. And when Taylor pulled out, Paul Broach covered him in Heat 2. Well, no matter what you're saying about those aerofoils, they may, I think you could say that they're working, because Russell Taylor comes in for the final win of the day in the Formula 2. So that's 2 race wins out of 3 for Russell Taylor. And Paul Broach, I think they got the second place, but there was strong pressure from Errol Johnston keeping the Scots flag flying in the final here at Aycliffe. There was not to be. Skull Bandits just monopolising everything here at Aycliffe, winning Heats 1 through Russell Taylor, Heat 2 through Paul Broach, and the final through Russell Taylor. And it looked like Broach got the second place in the final for good measure. Well, Jimmy, congratulations on heading the points chart at the end of the first grading period, but not too good a day here at Aycliffe for you, was it?
No, it's a terrible day today. The gearbox backed in at the beginning of the second heat, so we'll have to go home with 6 points.
Now, when we were down in the West Country recently, we spoke to the man who was second to you on those lists, Mike James. He was saying that the only reason that you're number 1 is because you get more meetings. What would you say to that?
Well, Mike James can come up and race with us any time, and I'm quite sure we'll show him a clean pair of heels.
How about the scene in Scotland at the moment? We've only had the one trip, obviously, for the Newton Grange weekend. But it must be getting pretty competitive.
It's very competitive, especially with the introduction of this Skull Bandit team, who do seem to be team racing.
Yes, we understand there were problems at Newton Grange last night with some tactics. Are you prepared to say anything about it?
No, as Skull Bandit team manager points out, the situation will have to be resolved on the track.
So they're target men for the Scots, are they?
No, quite the opposite actually. The Scots, or anyone who's putting up a fight, are target men for the Skull Bandits.
Well, interesting stuff. We look forward to seeing things later in the season. Are you going to be travelling any further south than Aycliffe during the year, do you reckon?
Well, unfortunately I'm self-employed and I can only come away as far as Aycliffe and Hartlepool, occasionally further south, but I have to go only where I can come home, a track where I can travel home at night.
Oh, that's a pity. Anyway, you can't see more of you anyway. We look forward to catching up with you and the rest of the Scots as much as possible this season. Now, obviously, with the points being piled up in Scotland, we hope to come up and see you during the year. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
The official result of Formula 2 Grand Final is as follows. First, number 725, and that is Brian Robson. Second, 753, Andy Morris. Third is Russell Taylor in 744. Fourth, 844, Dennis Whitfield. Then comes number 16, and number 16 is Jim Wallace. Then Errol Johnson, 673, 644, Paul Broach. And finally, 871, Ray Armstrong. So a controversial finish to the